Let me start by saying the unbearable suffering in Gaza is a scar on our collective conscience. It's completely unacceptable that innocent Palestinians, including children, continue to be killed. That there's still a humanitarian crisis with too little aid getting in, and that the Israeli military continues to expand the area it controls in Gaza. We've got to do more to put pressure on the Israeli government. I want to repeat what I've said before about the actions of Hamas and the monstrous October the 7th terror attack, which I condemn as strongly today as I did in the immediate aftermath. I also condemn the increase in appalling anti-Semitic attacks here in the UK and those who seek to divide our communities by targeting Jewish people. Following the Heaton Park synagogue attack in Manchester, I felt firsthand the anxiety in our Jewish community and the very real threat they face. This is unacceptable, and we must continue to stamp out anti-Semitism across the UK. We must also be clear in our criticism of what has happened in Gaza. I know many people feel that at the start of Israel's military action in Gaza, my party didn't get it right, and I am sorry about that. The response has too often not been good enough. We need to do better. Yes, we have taken some important steps. These include recognising the Palestinian state, placing sanctions on Israeli ministers and imposing waves of sanctions on violent settlers and the organisations that support them. I also fully support the restrictions on arms licences to make sure that no British bombs or bullets can be used by the IDF in Gaza or in the West Bank. But let's be honest, the UK was too slow to call for a ceasefire, and we must now do more to strengthen our approach. Israel continues to violate the ceasefire agreement, killing innocent Palestinians. We're seeing a surge in settler violence in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, and the continued expansion of illegal settlements, displacing Palestinian communities. And Netanyahu's government is clearly attempting to make a two-state solution impossible. That's why we need to do more, which includes looking at further sanctions, both on those involved in the violence in Gaza, but also looking at measures to ban trade in goods with illegal settlements. I, like many people, feel passionately about Gaza, and I will do everything I can to work with international partners to stop the suffering, to ensure the Israeli government adheres to international law, and to keep the prospect of a two-state solution alive, because this is the only way to lasting peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. I have been absolutely appalled by what I've seen and read about the destruction of Gaza. There's increasing evidence that war crimes appear to have been committed. There must be accountability for the depth of the suffering the people of Gaza have experienced. Ultimately, however, it must be for the international courts to determine, rather than politicians. There is no contradiction between a zero-tolerance approach to anti-Semitism and holding the Netanyahu government to account. I will always take a fair and balanced approach and stand up for what is right.
In response, Mohsen Ali said, "If you asked Andy Burnham whether Russia has committed war crimes in Ukraine, he'd say yes. But when it comes to Gaza, he hides behind the international courts because admitting that the British government knows war crimes are being committed would trigger a legal duty to immediately halt arms sales." And of course, the Zionists have come out in full force because any criticism of Israel gets labelled as anti-Semitic. Julia Hartley-Brewer said, "By progressive voters, Labour means anti-Semites, of course." The Zionist pro-Israel group have come out and claimed they have concerns about Andy's remarks. "We have been in touch with Andy Burnham's team to convey directly our significant concerns in relation to his remarks yesterday. We welcome his zero-tolerance approach to anti-Semitism, affirm his assertion that there is no contradiction between fighting anti-Semitism and disagreeing with actions of the Israeli government, and share concern of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip. However, anti-Semitism cannot be confronted without addressing all its drivers. In today's Britain, this includes Islamist, far-left and far-right extremists who go beyond criticism of the Israeli government to a place of hatred directed at Jews and Israelis." Odd, since Burnham condemned anti-Semitism in that video and then criticised the Israeli government. So why would the BOD have a problem with it? It's because they do think any criticism is anti-Semitic. Curtis, let's go to you with your thoughts on this one.
I'm going to speak about Andy Burnham before I go on to the border deputies. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is a bit of progress." I mean, maybe, I guess. I suppose Keir Starmer said on LBC that Israel has a right to cut off water and electricity. Andy Burnham isn't saying that, but fuck me, that's a low bar. But ultimately, I don't see much progress here. This video basically demonstrated that Andy Burnham understands that the Labour Party have hemorrhaged lots of votes. And the number one reason why people left Labour to the Greens was over Gaza. Even I was quite shocked by that. I thought it might have been their economic policy in Gaza being important, but I thought it was going to be more their econ policy. No, Gaza is the number one thing. I'm speaking to Green Party councillors, or they were running to be councillors in local elections. They were telling me Gaza comes up on the doorstep, even if you don't bring it up. It's so important, and Andy Burnham understands that. So he's trying to bring those voters back by saying, "I'm really, really sorry about this." But ultimately, it's weak source. I mean, the start of the video, he prefaces it with October 7th was horrific and anti-Semitism is really, really bad. Now, I'm not saying that October 7th was good and I endorse anti-Semitism, but I'm so fucking sick and tired when even just having the most milquetoast criticism of Israel, it's always prefaced with, "Oh, but by the way, anti-Semitism is bad." It's the whole sort of, "Do you condemn Hamas again?" I'm like, shit, it's been nearly 3 years since October 7th. There is an ongoing genocide. Palestinians are facing extermination. And you're still starting the video with, well, October 7th was really, really bad. Because once again, the datification of October 7th, it's still sending a message that this is still obviously much worse than what Israel's done. No, it's not. All right. I mean, it's October 7th every single fucking day for the Palestinians. So I think it's utterly weak and pathetic. You know, when me and Callum went to Makerfield, Callum asked Andy Burnham on his policy on Gaza, and I have to say, like, so proud of us at Turn Left. That clip of that video has gone viral. Owen Jones shared it. 500,000 people have seen that clip. It was featured on Al Jazeera, like mainstream media. So well done to Callum for asking that question. And he gave a really weak response. He's not going to do anything in government. Maybe he won't be as bad as Keir Starmer, but ultimately, like, what's the sliding scale of genocide? Because Andy Burnham says, well, I'm going to take a balanced approach. You can't have a balanced approach when there's a genocide. You're either for it or you're against it, okay? There's no balance here. So I find that extremely problematic by saying that. It's just weak source. Now, in terms of the BOD, they're a fucking joke. Look, we have spoken out about anti-Semitism weaponization for years on this channel. I think the first ever video we did was on it. And the Board of Deputies are fucking disgusting. They're literally saying they're concerned about Andy Burnham's statement. I mean, how is anything he said that was wrong in their point of view? Because they said, well, you know, anti-Semitism is a problem and there's nothing wrong with criticizing Israel. Okay, well, Andy Burnham started off by saying October 7th was bad, anti-Semitism is a problem, and I'm criticizing Israel. Yet they said they were concerned because, as you pointed out, the BOD do not want you to criticize Israel, and they will call you anti-Semitic for the smallest amount of criticism because the BOD, even though they're called the Board of Deputies of British Jews, they don't represent British Jews. They represent Israel. They are a Zionist organization. So, you know, I've said this so many times. Politicians need to fucking ignore the Zionists and the Zionist lobby because they're going to smear you regardless. And even saying something is milquetoast is what Andy Burnham said, still gets a statement from the BOD. They can honestly just fuck off. They can. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Zionists. I'm sick of the BOD. And I'm sick of their weaponization of anti-Semitism. There are genuine, really good groups, Jewish groups like JVL, Jewish Voice for Liberation, formerly Jewish Voice for Labour, and obviously they've left now, so it's Liberation. They're great because they don't pit their jewelry with genocide. They say, yeah, we're against genocide, but obviously, yeah, anti-Semitism is bad. We're a group of Jews. Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi, fantastic person. She was expelled from the Labour Party. Many Jewish people, I don't need to rehash it, but many Jewish people were expelled from the Labour Party because they were not even just like anti-Zionist, they were just very, very, I don't know, they criticized Israel a little bit and that was it.